All right, Larry Kruger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little 49er, well, not really 49er, but 49er related video as we do a little reaction to the Monday night game of the year between two teams that stand between the 49ers and the Super Bowl. The Eagles and the Chiefs got together in Kansas City tonight. We'll give you a little reaction to the Eagles' win on the road. But first, of course, we're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out in Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue there is. And also, Underdog Fantasy is one of the sponsors of the Krug Show. Check that link in the description. Underdog Fantasy will match you on your first $100 deposited. This week in Underdog, I'm going Deebo Samuel on Thanksgiving, higher than 61 rushing and receiving yards combined. Chase Young, higher than a half sack. Brandon Ayuk, higher than 63 and a half receiving yards. Zach Charbonnet, higher than a half, a one touchdown. So he's got to score a rushing or a receiving touchdown. And then Brock Purdy, lower than 0.5 interceptions. I don't think Brock throws an interception on Thursday night. All right, let's talk a little bit about the game that was tonight in Kansas City between the Eagles, the champions of the NFC, and the Chiefs, the champions of the NFL. And the Eagles come to Kansas City and they get a 21-17 win over the Chiefs. So the Eagles are now 9-1. Um, the story was drop passes. Kansas City dropped 5 passes, 3 on the final drive. That was it. Mahomes' receivers really let him down, including Travis Kelce. But there were a number of reasons. There always are. But, I mean, Kansas City had been 18-0 when they scored first in a game, and they scored first. They went up 7-0. Mahomes found Justin Watson on 3rd and goal, and the Chiefs jumped on the board first. But DeAndre Swift had a great night for the Eagles. He had a touchdown run to make it 7-7. Swift averaged 6.3 yards per carry in this game. He was really, really good. And then for the most part, the defense is dominated after that. L'Jarius Sneed had an interception for Kansas City. The newest Eagle, Kevin Byard, who came over from Tennessee in a trade. Why the Eagles want him? Because he's a highly productive interceptor of the football. And sure enough, it was Byard who had an interception of Mahomes in the end zone in the second quarter. Huge play in the game. Chiefs could have scored a touchdown. Instead, Mahomes throws the interception. Chris Jones had 2 sacks for Kansas City. Kansas City had 5 sacks of Jalen Hurts in the first half alone. But Mahomes would find Kelce for his 5th touchdown of the season to make the game 17-7 on third and 4 play in the second quarter. So the Chiefs were up 10. They were up 17-7. But DeAndre Swift had a big jet sweep, and then Jalen Hurts later in that same drive would rumble in from 10 yards out to make it 17-14. And then you look at Travis Kelce. He had a key fumble. It was forced by Bradley Roby at the 8-yard line. So the Chiefs turned it over twice in the red zone. You just can't do that. Kelce fumbled on the 8. Eagles recovered. Justin Watson had a big drop. Travis Kelce had a huge drop on 3rd and 4 in the fourth quarter. Hurts made the play of the game when he found Devontae Smith, who went down to the 1-yard line on a big pass play, and then Philly did the tush push or brotherly shove or whatever you want to call it, the play that they can do better than anybody, to go up 21-17. And still you think, okay, well, there's plenty of time for Mahomes to come back. He'll come back, right? We've seen it time and time again. Down 21-17, they need a touchdown. But 2nd and 10 play is the play of the game. 2nd and 10 from the 49-yard line, minute 45 left in the game, and Mahomes throws the backbreaker touchdown pass of the night. And Marquez Valdez-Scantling dropped it. Flat out dropped it. It would have been a 51-yard touchdown. It would have made it 24-21 Kansas City inside of the 2-minute warning. And instead, Marquez Valdez-Scantling dropped it. 51-yard strike from Mahomes. Absolute strike. And then Kansas City would get one more shot. But on third down, the Eagles put a lot of pass rush on Mahomes. He had to throw it into the turf. He got a grounding call, led to a 4th and 25. So Mahomes with one more chance, 4th and 25. He drops back to pass, and he threw a laser that would have been a first down for the Chiefs at the 38-yard line. Game on. Instead, Justin Watson dropped it. So there you go. That was the story of the night for Kansas City. Kansas City's receivers have not that great, and man, they let Mahomes down tonight. A couple things really stand out. One, Kansas City's offense in the second half is not doing a whole lot. They got shut out in the second half at home. I mean, how about this? Kansas City is averaging for the season 5 points a game in the second half. It's one of the worst second half scoring totals in the entire league. And on Monday Night Football, they're shut out in the second half by the Eagles. Also, Kansas City, 2 crushing red zone turnovers. Philly was +1 in turnovers. That was probably the difference in the game. Kansas City, in a game where they had over almost 100 more total yards and averaged 5.6 yards per carry, still lost the game. I mean, really an amazing thing. And for Jalen Hurts, Hurts is now 13-0 in his last 13 games against teams with records of 500 or better. So, the Eagles, give the Eagles credit, man. The Eagles find a way to win. They find a way to win. They don't beat themselves. They make plays all over the field. They're really good on the line of scrimmage. DeAndre Swift had a nice game. It wasn't a perfect game for the Eagles by any stretch. As I said, they gave up 5 sacks of Hurts in the first half alone. But, the Kevin Byard trade was huge, absolutely huge. And he had a great game. Devontae Smith had a great game. Obviously Jalen Hurts played good enough to win. And the Chiefs, what can you say about the Chiefs? Two turnovers in the red zone. Shut out in the second half at home, averaging five points a game in the second half this year. So just was not to be for Kansas City. Eagles win the second half 14-0, and they win the game 21-17. And, all I'll say is this: from watching this game, as far as the 49ers are concerned, I think the Niners can beat both these teams. I'm not saying they're going to. They don't even play the Chiefs. So if they play the Chiefs, it'll be on Super Bowl Sunday in Las Vegas. But they can beat the Eagles. They can go to Philadelphia and they can beat the Eagles. I'm not saying they're going to, but they can. But they're going to have to make plays, and they're going to have to get Hurts into some third and longs. And, the Eagles are such a different team than most teams in pro football because, if they can get to 3rd and 3, they got you. You have to do a job on 1st and 2nd down. They get to 3rd and 3, they'll either call a very conservative pass play or a run play and get to 4th and 1. And as long as they're not inside their 20-yard line, they go for it on 4th and short, and they go with the tush push, and they get 2-3 yards a pop. And so they dominate if they can get to 3rd and 3. You can't let them get to 3rd and 3. You got to keep them to 5 or 6 yards on the first couple plays. If they get to 3rd and 3, they're not backed up in their own, inside their own 20-yard line, it's 2-down territory the entire game. So, that's really key. You can't turn the ball over in the red zone. Kansas City did. You can't drop the ball left and right. Kansas City had 5 drops, 5 dropped passes. Kansas City did a lot of good things in this game. Chris Jones was monster. He had 2 sacks. They had 5. Karlaftis got in there for 1. L'Jarius Sneed had a beautiful interception. But Philadelphia's good. Philadelphia's really good. Not that I'm telling you guys anything you don't know. Philly's good. This just in. And Kevin Byard makes them even better. So they got another productive guy in their secondary. And they get to 3rd and 3, and then it's 4-down territory. But yeah, this game was about, And Travis Kelsey, I mean, I give Kelsey credit. He took the mic in the post game, and he's like, "Hey, he said he didn't say we're not good enough, we weren't good enough. He's like, I got to be better, me, I, you know, I'm not talking about anybody else. I got to be better. That's what a leader does. He easily could have pointed to Watson and some of these other guys, but he's taking it on himself. Now, the fumble at the 8 was a huge play, but just one of many in this game. Um, and Kansas City just didn't play a clean enough game to win against Philadelphia. And Philadelphia is a really, really good team. And if you're the 49ers, you're just going to have to get it done yourself. Philly, you can't bank. Philly's going to have to lose. The Niners are going to have to beat Philly in Philly. And then Philly's going to have to lose one more game. And the Niners are going to have to run the table. Otherwise, it's a return trip to Philadelphia if the Niners are so lucky in the playoffs to make it to the conference championship game. And it's a tough place to play. Tonight, the Eagles showed that they can win on the road in Arrowhead in maybe one of the toughest places to play. So as good as they were tonight in Arrowhead, they're better at the Link in Philly. And the Niners are probably going to have to get it done themselves. And, the reality is the more this, we get closer toward the end of the year, it's looking more and more like the 49ers are, going to have to solve the Eagles in Philly. We're going to have to solve them in next week when they play them in Philly. They'll have a couple extra days of preparation due to their playing on Thursday night. But they're most likely going to have to either beat them a second time in Philly, or if they lose to them, they're going to have to beat them one time in Philly this year. Because if they lose to them in Philly, there's almost no chance that if they play again, that they would play anywhere but Philly. So that's going to be huge, absolutely huge. 49ers have done themselves no favors. There's no margin for error here. They're going to have to be good. But the Niners do have tremendous talent, and I think they're going to give Philly a tremendous battle, in week 13. And even if the Niners have to go there in the playoffs, I think they can beat them there in the playoffs. But this Eagles team, it does not beat themselves, and Hurts plays really smart football. He gives you just enough throwing and running, and then they've got great weapons. They're terrific on the line of scrimmage. Now they have guys that take the ball away in the secondary. They put a lot of rush on you up front. I mean, they're a complete outfit, absolute complete outfit, and they got a great win. They get a great win tonight in Kansas City. All right. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. And thanks to Underdog Fantasy for sponsoring the Krug Show as well. Check that link in the description and type in Krug in the promo code KRUEG, and they will match you up to your first $100. And thanks to all you guys for supporting the Krug Show on YouTube.